Okay, what else do you need to be successful with online computing? Well, obviously, I think one of the most important things to be successful with taking an online course, and I have this clock here as a symbol of that, it's time. Online courses offer you flexibility. They offer you the ability to go to the class whenever you have time on your own, okay? But make no mistake, I don't want you to anticipate that online classes are going to be easier. In some cases, when I worked on my degree and took the online classes, they were actually harder than the classes I attended in a traditional traditional way. So I want you to understand that it's very important that you're going to have to dedicate time to your studies, and it's going to take you about 5 hours to 6 hours a week, depending on your own discipline and how well you're able to get the information. And part of that is going to be reading, which may take a little longer depending on how fast you read and how easy it is for you to pick the information up. So you need to set time aside throughout the week to conduct your assignments, to do your assignments. That includes the reading, that includes answering the discussion assignments, it includes doing the homework assignments. You're also going to be required to write a paper, so you're going to need to set time aside for that. So understand that because it's an online class, it is not going to mean that it's going to be a breeze or easy. You are going to have to dedicate a certain amount of time to it. Now, what are some of the differences between online classes versus offline or traditional type classes? Well, you'll find that since you're taking the test in the privacy of your own home or wherever you're taking your test from, I'm not going to be there to see whether or not you use the book. So we allow you, I mean, it's okay for you to use your textbook. It's an open book test. I mean, I'm not going to deprive you of the opportunity to research and get information. There isn't any expectation that you're going to have to have read the text and understand the information, but you will have access to the textbook, okay? You will be taking these online tests or exams as part of your homework assignment, and then your final exam will be a culmination of all of the questions to each of those homework assignments. So when you get to that final exam, you're going to have a time limit on that. So don't rely on just looking through the textbook to find the answers for that final exam. It's going to require you to have a knowledge or base, and hopefully by the time we get to the course, if you've done everything that you're supposed to do, it should be very simple for you to do that. You'll understand it. This course isn't set up to stump the dummy. It's set up to challenge you and to hopefully introduce you to new things that you haven't been exposed to before. Another aspect of online learning is the ability to put a whole bunch of things together. So we're going to use different formats, and this is the first totally online course that I've taught and designed. So there's going to be some interesting things in there. I've tried to incorporate as much. And one thing that I will ask of you, and it's actually required as a student, is to fill out a feedback form at the end of the course and give your feedback and tell me, honestly, what you thought of it. What was the strengths? What were the weaknesses? Because online learning, like I said, when I took it, it was limited to reading assignments, a couple of PowerPoints, very dry, very, very lackluster. And with this new system that PHCC's adopted, Canvas, there is an opportunity for us to introduce video, interaction. We're going to have the ability to do live video conferencing. I could really literally do the lectures live for you, but then again you lose that spontaneity, that ability to, or not spontaneity, but the convenience aspect of it is being able to watch it at your own pace. So again, there's the pluses and minuses of online learning versus the traditional classroom. So we're going to try a lot of different things in these first two courses that we're rolling out, and I want you to kind of give me some feedback on what you think the strengths were, what you think the weaknesses were. You'll do that when you have your opportunity to fill out your course critique, course evaluation forms when we conclude the course. Another aspect of doing this online learning, you may notice it in the videos, but when I started doing some of the videos for the lectures, it's very hard to talk to a video camera. You don't have the feedback, and as a classroom instructor, I like to be very interactive with my class. I like to walk around. I like to talk to people. I like to get them to kind of give me feedback. And that's the one drawback to doing online lectures, where basically you're videotaping me, and I don't have the ability to see whether little Johnny in the back of the room is snoozing because I'm boring him to death, or whether Susie up in the front of the class is extremely interested in what I have to say. I lose some of that aspect. So please, again, the video lectures are designed to introduce you to components in the reading, the text, and kind of show you how we do it. My video lectures are not designed to teach you what's in the text. I think that we're all adults here. We should be able to learn through reading what's in there. What my target is with these video lectures is to show you what we learn in here and how it applies to what we're actually doing on the street. So that's really the purpose of those lectures. So I would encourage you to watch them. There will be information in those lectures that you may see on the test. There may be information in those lectures, hopefully, that you can use on a day-to-day basis. And that's really what I want you to be able to walk away from this course and immediately use the information that you've learned in your job to help you understand what it is. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is the way that the courses are laid out. I've chosen to set up the courses so that when you open up your course and you look at it, you're looking at simply the modules, okay? Now each course, since we're doing these in 8-week terms, each course is set up with essentially 9 modules. An introduction module, which contains all of the videos and the introduction information that you're going to need to be able to operate the program. All of that will be in the introduction module, and then all the modules in addition to that will be basically week-long modules. You'll go through week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to 8, and then 8 will be your final module, which will contain a final exam or have a location for you to turn in your final paper. And all of that will be broken up, and each of those modules will cover different sections of the textbook. So as you go through each module, you'll go through and you'll have a reading assignment. You'll also have a discussion assignment, which is equivalent to being in the classroom and interacting with your fellow students. And then you'll also have some kind of homework assignment, whether it's written homework assignment, or whether it's a quiz, or whether it's basically an essay, short essay they may have you do, or it might be a project as well. And so each one of those modules will have certain requirements to them. Now, the way the modules are laid out, they are going to have prerequisites. In other words, you're going to have to complete a module before you move on to the next, okay? And each of the modules are going to be kind of synchronized to the 8-week term. What I want to discourage is getting too far ahead. Now, I don't want you to go to the opposite end. Firefighters, if you're like most firefighters, and I'll admit to it, we're procrastinators. We like to put things off till the last minute. Don't do that with the online learning. Try to get your modules done as quickly as possible in the beginning, as soon as they're available to you, as soon as they open up. But don't get too far ahead either, because then it takes away from the, kind of keeping everybody in that same classroom environment when we do the discussion assignments and things like that. I want you to be able to interact almost real time with those discussion assignments, so try not to get too far ahead in that respect. But again, don't procrastinate either, because that could be a deadly thing for you. Now, as far as requirements, your initial discussion board posting, when we get into the modules, all right, now if you're watching this in the beginning, hopefully you haven't procrastinated and put this video off. This is something you should watch right away. But as you get in, your first discussion assignment will be due on Tuesday before 11 p.m. In other words, you will have to comment on either the video posting or the comments in the discussion assignment. Okay, so you'll have to comment on that before 11 p.m. on Tuesday night. And then by Saturday night, which is the end of the first module, you will have to have responded back to 3 of your students with, again, a video response to their initial posting. So essentially what you'll have is you'll make a comment, what you're watching or what you're reading or the information that you have. You'll make a comment on it, and then you will comment on other people's comments. You'll say, well, hey, I like your point. I think it was interesting, but have you thought about this? And what I really encourage you to do is to make these conversations. Don't just say, oh, I agree with that, and then that's it. Try to avoid those. That really doesn't have any benefit. I want to try to get a reply so that you say something that might spark somebody else to have an idea or a thought that might help them to put some further input. Think of it as literally an online discussion in a classroom. And again, it's not going to be real time, but you'll be able to go back and view somebody's response to what you said. And again, these threads could be very interesting. They could, carry on quite a bit. And if I have the opportunity, I'll try to put the entire conversation together like we were in a classroom at the same time, and you'll see what the end result is. The second time constraint you're going to have throughout the week is completing the remainder of the assignments in the module. And they'll, for the most part, unless otherwise stated, they will be due before 11 p.m. on Saturday. Now the syllabus explains that if you're late with an assignment, the first day you lose points, the second day you lose points, the third day you lose points, and after the third day, generally the assignment is considered to be incomplete or a failure. But again, I understand in our job, in our service, we're going to have days when maybe you're working a double or you're on mandatory overtime and something may come up. Please do not hesitate if you cannot make an assignment on time. Don't hesitate to either message me in the system itself or send me an email and let me know that you're having a problem. I will work with you. I'll do the best we can so that you can complete the assignment and not lose the credit. However, there are, obviously we have to have rules, and the rules are they have to be in by a certain time. And so, for normal circumstances, I expect the assignments to be completed for your discussion assignment by Tuesday at 11, your discussion replies by Saturday night at 11, and then all of the additional assignments by Saturday night at 11 p.m. Okay? Another aspect about this course is going to be the resources that I have for you. Again, in the beginning, there are going to be some videos to show you how to access the NFPA standards, and that's something that you can take with you. You'll be able to access the NFPA standards, create a profile, and use them throughout your career. So I want you to understand that there's going to be materials in here you may want to download. There may be PDF files or things like that. Feel free to do that. You can download them, put them in files for you. They're all accessible to you. Now, I'm going to give you a web shot or webcast that's going to be attached to this also, that's going to go over some of the problems that I know about in Canvas. Now you say, well, wow, I wish we didn't have problems, but unfortunately, whenever you have a new learning platform and you have a wide variety of types of machines and equipment out there, there's always going to be some issues, and I have some known issues. One of the issues is, again, the best browser to use is Google Chrome. If you use Internet Explorer, you're going to get a lot of error messages, you're going to get security messages. There's instructions in the Academic Technology Support website that tells you about what those messages are and how to reply to them. But if you're using Google Chrome, you shouldn't have any of those problems. However, some of the problems I have noticed is when you go to the modules, and if you're operating through the modules and you hit next and it goes to that module, sometimes there's basically the display module is called SWIB. And sometimes the material doesn't pop up in the viewing screen. There's two things that you can do, and I'll show you how to do that on the web shop, but essentially two things you can do. You can refresh the screen, and you may have to do it a couple times, especially for PDFs. If you refresh the screen, then it'll show up the PowerPoints the same way. I saved the PowerPoints either as PDFs, if they're just straight PowerPoints with information, or I've saved them as WAV files if I have video or I have integrated audio with them as well. So they may be one of two ways. Either way, when you go to open them, you may have to hit the refresh screen. If for some reason that doesn't work, you can download, okay, the PDF, either the PowerPoints or the actual video or what have you, or go to the link by actually going on the very, very top of that squib panel. It should say the title of whatever it is that you're viewing, and then there should be like a little arrow next to it. And if you click on that, and what that does is it opens it up in a new window. And if it's a PDF file, it'll either download it, you'll see it down on the bottom of your screen, it'll download it and open it up for you, or it will open up a secondary window if it's a link to another website, either YouTube or to the National Fire Academy, or wherever you're going, it'll open that up. So that's one of two ways that you can deal with that issue. And again, that's a known problem. I've tried it several different ways and I cannot seem to get it to correct. Since there is, this is a brand new product that the college is using, There are going to be some issues, and we're not aware of them entirely yet. It has had a trial period with some limited classes, but there may be some issues. I'm probably maxing out to the best of my ability the technology aspects of this program, through video and interactivity and things like that. So some areas and some areas that have not yet been addressed may arise. If they do, for whatever reason, if you have any connectivity issues or problems, please do not hesitate to email me and let me know. Let me know as soon as possible, so if there's something that we can correct or fix, we can get it so that you can go on with your studies and not have any problems. Please don't procrastinate in that manner, because if it's something that can be corrected, we'll definitely try to do that. In the event you can't access some of the external materials, such as the PDF files, the YouTube videos, the lectures, the PowerPoints, or anything like that, I've included in the introduction module essentially a Word file, PDF file, that has all of the electronic external links on it. With the titles, so that while you're going through, if you get to a module and you're having a hard time opening the link, you can go right to that page, and it'll tell you what that link is, and it'll give you a web address, and you can click on it, and it'll take you to it, outside of the Canvas program. All right, back to the modules. At the beginning of each module, I'm going to give you basically a list of the assignments. These are the required assignments for that module. And then each of the modules will have in them all of the material that's in that module. It may be video that I've linked, it may be PowerPoints, it may be lectures, it may be YouTube, it may be a whole bunch of different things. But as you go through that, on the bottom of each of those will tell you whether that's a mandatory assignment. In other words, you have to complete this before that module is completed, and you can move on to the next. So follow those directions and complete those assignments as necessary. I would hope that if you have the time, that you view all of the information in there. I will be able to tell if you've actually viewed it and gone to those different segments. But I would recommend, because there's information in there that's interesting, it's enlightening, it'll expand your knowledge base about the fire service, especially history, legal issues. There's links in there to the Florida statutes concerning firefighting, the legislative, administrative code. All of those things are in there for you as resources, and I hope you make the best use of them.